This is Dylan from Salt Pines, and today we are going to be tying a purple and black EP baitfish. Great all-around baitfish profile, very durable, great for darker water or low light situations. This is kind of the go-to baitfish for here in Tampa Bay. Here is all of our material for our purple and black EP baitfish. We took 2 strands of purple EP fiber here, and the first bunch we cut into halves, so it's about 50 or so fibers in that bunch, and then same thing for the second bunch that we pulled out, and we cut that into thirds. We are tying this on a 2.0 RUNE big game from Mustad. Stout little hook for either tarpon, snook, redfish. Also, with how thick it is, it does add a little bit of weight, so you can kind of sweep that fly a little bit lower, which is nice without adding weight. Then we have our eyes here, stick-on eyes, 1 strand of black Krystal Flash, and then we have our black thread. And then we did the same with our black EP fiber as well. We grabbed 2 bunches of about 50 fibers. The first one we cut in half right here, and then the second we cut into thirds. We're going to go ahead and start our thread about halfway down the hook shank here on our 2.0 Mustad RUNE hook, and advance it all the way back to where it hangs even with the barb, like so. Clip our thread tag off, and then we will begin with our black Krystal Flash that we're going to fold over to create 2 strands. And then we want to tie this in, keep it really long. So we're going to tie that right in on top of the hook there. Give it 3 nice wraps. And the trick to this fly is to keep it very slim, very thin, sparse. So we're going to try to conserve our wraps as much as possible while we build this fly. So can let that hang way off the back of the fly for now. We'll worry about that later. First, we will come in with our chunk of EP fiber in purple that we cut in half. We're gonna use the longer pieces first. So we're gonna go ahead and invert this hook like so. Then we're gonna split this fiber around the hook, and we're going to tie it in, leaving a shorter end to our right that sticks out of the hook eye, and we're going to pull this and have it a little bit longer out the back so that we're building our tail. So 1/4 of it sticking forward, 3/4 of it going back. Give it 2 nice wraps, and then we'll go ahead and fold our smaller piece around the hook here, and then do the same and give it 2 nice wraps, or 3, just to secure it in there. So that's what the first piece looks like. And then we'll go ahead and take one of our black pieces of EP fiber that we cut in half and do the same thing. And you can just kind of line them up here and match the lengths like so on top of the hook. We're going to give it 2 wraps, and then we're going to fold it back like so. 3 wraps or more, just to kind of keep that as even as possible. Then we can come in with just a touch of super glue. Since we're using minimal wraps, come in there and just barely give it just a little bit there, just to hold everything in, keep it very durable. For this, I'm using gel super glue. I don't really like how runny the regular stuff is, so I like the gel. Next, we will take our next half and invert the hook with our purple here, split it around the hook. And for this one, we're going to try to split it in half as best as possible. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And do 2 wraps. And then split it around our hook here. And do 3 wraps. And then we'll go ahead and turn it back and grab our other half of black and do the same thing. So splitting it in half, two wraps, then folding it back and wrapping 2 to 3 on the top there. So this is what we're kind of working with for now. A nice fuzzy mess, but that's what we're looking for when we go to trim it. So we're keeping it very sparse, very thin, so nothing's really bunching up on itself, with our little bit of flash right there in the middle. So that's kind of what we're looking for so far. Then once we get those 2 longer pieces in, we'll go to our second bunch of craft fur we chopped up into thirds. And we'll go ahead and take one of our first pieces of purple, split that guy in half, do 2 wraps, and we'll split it around the hook again. And we're just kind of continuing this, switching from top to bottom, and just kind of building out our baitfish profile as we kind of work forward. There's that. We'll take a black third and go on top here and do 2 to 3 wraps, fold it over, 2 to 3 wraps. So what we're really trying to focus on here is, if you see where this fiber, as you tie it back and wrap onto itself, it's level with the piece you tied in on the bottom or in the top. That's what we're looking for here, is to keep everything very level throughout this fly, so that nothing really gets uneven. And once we go to finish it, you know, you both bottom and top end at the same time, and one doesn't stick forward or farther back than the other. Then we'll take our second third of purple, go invert and go underneath, fold it around our hook there, two wraps, split it around again, fold it back, and then do 2 to 3 wraps. So making sure that everything's directly on the bottom. And we'll flip it back and take our second third of black for our top here. So with these head pieces, it doesn't really matter if you split them in half when you tie them in, just as long as you're keeping length on there because we're gonna trim this fly up. We're gonna give it a nice haircut, so it doesn't really matter once you get to the head here on lengths. Then we'll invert it one last time. Tying our last piece of purple here, right in the front. Split. And then wrap back onto it like so. Then our last piece of black, and do the same exact thing. Awesome. Then you can put a nice little thread dam for a nose right in front of all that to just kind of lock everything in. Whip finish. And trim off. Then we'll kind of just come in with our comb here. Just kind of brush everything out just a little bit. Nothing fancy, just to kind of make sure nothing's trapped. Everything's out of our way right here. And you can, if you do it top and bottom, you should be able to see your thread in between here, but we're going to cover that up. So we'll grab our gel of choice. Just stick a little dab on that thread there. And then we'll come in with our eye, whatever eye works. Just kind of press that guy on there. So then that's going to go in there and hide all those thread wraps that you're seeing on either side. Do the same on the other. Do a little dab. And then just kind of line them up as best as possible. Doesn't always have to be perfect. Nothing's perfect. Just trying to make sure we're covering up. We want to leave that nose out there like so, that thread nose. We're covering up those other wraps with our eyes here. After we have this guy all glued up, what we're going to do is we're going to take him out of the vise, stick him here on the table, and then just begin by giving him a good hairbrush. We just want to pull everything out. See, we still have our Krystal Flash way out the back there. And then, best way to trim these guys is we'll do one side at a time. So we'll grab the hook here. And rest him right. Like so. And we'll just kind of begin cutting straight up and away with our scissors on the hook eye there. And then about 2 eye lengths back, we're going to go ahead and start trimming him back like this. And then you'll eventually catch that Krystal Flash and trim it off. So that's kind of what our top looks like at the moment. And then we'll do the same thing on the bottom. Flip them around. And this side's a little bit tougher with that hook eye. So best angle to do it is to trim right towards that barb, like so. Trim just like that. pull all that fiber away, and then lay the scissors right on the hook there and start trimming it back kind of on an angle. That'll give you that body that we're looking for. So then after you trim each time, just kind of come in here and pull these fibers back out, and you can kind of see where you need to come back in and trim some more. Trim big time right up against this hook here. Really trim that down. You don't want to trim too much off these, because we're kind of looking for that pilchard whitebait kind of profile. Just kind of keep on trimming back like so. Kind of keep on pulling these fibers out every single time. Getting pretty close here. I like to take a little bit more off the bottom. Kind of leave that hook point very exposed there. Not that this fiber's hard enough to affect the way you hook the fish, but you know, it's just personal preference really, so I like to keep it cut out like that. Come in and take just a bit more off the top here. Maybe just a bit more right around the hook. Just like that. So you can keep on trimming this as much as you'd like. I'm pretty happy with that right there. On that size 2 hook, tied back a little bit.